Okay, in this video we're going to review factoring polynomials. This is going to be the longest video in this preview of Chapter 8, and it's also the most important skill as we go into Chapter 8. You must be able to factor. Okay, so I've got one example of each of the different factoring methods that I want to remind you of. You're going to have to know when to use which method. Right? This polynomial that you see here has two terms. Before I do anything, I'm always going to check to see if there's a GCF. So in this polynomial, 5 is the greatest common factor that divides into both terms evenly. I'm going to divide 5 out. 5x to the second divided by 5 is x to the second. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. Okay, now the stuff in the parentheses, if that can be factored further, you have to keep going. And in this case, this stuff inside the parentheses is the difference of two squares. Both terms are a perfect square, and it's a subtraction. So let's bring down the 5. The square root of x to the second is your first times your first. The square root of 1 is your last times your last. 1 minus, 1 plus. So that problem is factored completely. Next problem. These two formulas are for factoring the sum or difference of cubes. Here I've got the problem x to the third minus 27. There is no GCF. There is no number greater than 1 that can go into both terms evenly. So since it has two terms, I want to see, is it the sum or difference of cubes, or is it the difference of two squares? The first term is a perfect cube. X times x times x gives you x to the third. And the last term, negative 27, is a perfect cube. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. We are going to use the formula for the difference, because this is a difference. If it were a sum, you would use the other formula. A is equal to the cubic root of x to the third, which is x. B is equal to the cubic root of 27, which is 3. So I've got, I was going to try and bring the formula down. I've got a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared, and I'm just going to substitute a and b in. So I've got x minus 3 times x squared plus x times 3 plus 3 squared. All right, now I'm going to simplify what's in the second parentheses. X minus 3 times x squared plus x times 3 is 3x plus 3 squared is 9. Okay, that's a reminder of how to factor using the difference of cubes. Next problem. Easy AC. This problem has no GCF. There is no number greater than 1 that divides into each term evenly. The leading coefficient is 1. That's what makes it an easy problem. I'm going to find factors of 28 whose sum is negative 11. Let's see, 7 times 4 is 28. Can they add to negative 11? If they were both negative, they add to negative 11. And if they're both negative, negative 7 times negative 4, they multiply to positive 28. Those are my magic numbers. So since this is an easy problem, I can just put that directly into the formula, x minus 7 times x minus 4. That's easy when the leading coefficient is 1. Here's a hard AC problem, because A is not equal to 1. That's when you know you have to do a little bit of extra work. We're going to multiply A times C. And I need factors of negative 24 whose sum is 10. Eight times 3 multiplies to 24, but it does not add to 10. 12 times 2 multiplies to 24. Can I get it to add or subtract to 10? I can. If I add 12 and negative 2, I get 10. Check my signs for multiply. Positive 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. I'm going to use the by grouping method to factor this. Since this is a hard problem, I can't just plug in. I'm going to rewrite the polynomial using my magic numbers as my middle term. 3x to the second comes down. Instead of 10x, I am using 12x and negative 2x. Bring down the negative h. I'm going to now group the GCF of the first group is 3x. 3x to the second divided by 3x is x. 12x divided by 3x is 4. The GCF of the second group is negative 2. Anytime the first term is negative, the GCF is negative. Negative 2x divided by negative 2 is x. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 is 4. The stuff in the parentheses has to be the same. That's one of your factors. The 3x minus 2, that's the blue stuff, is your other factor. So that's hard AC. The last one is by grouping. You're going to use by grouping anytime you have a polynomial with 4 terms. And we actually just showed you by grouping when we did the last problem. I'm going to group. The GCF of the first group is x to the second. Always use the smallest exponent of the common variable. X to the third divided by x to the second is x. Negative 3x to the second divided by x to the second is negative 3. The GCF of the second group is 6. 6x divided by 6 is x. Negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3. The stuff in the parentheses is the same. That's one of my factors. My other factor is x squared plus 6. Okay, that's it. That's your review of factors.